I'm going to share the screen on this one for those who didn't catch this today, but I did ask this to Brock at the presser, and he, like he always does, gives you kind of a long, thought-provoking answer. He doesn't
That never answers
shortchange it.
anything.
Here you go.
So there was one play where they walked an eighth guy into the box, and then they added a ninth guy to the box. In that situation, they're giving you that kind of a look. Do you have the ability to audible to a pass play and go to something different? What are your limitations at the line?
Usually we just have an answer built into the play. And so if we do have like an all-out blitz or something, we usually have an answer of where I should be hitting or where I should be going. And there's very rare occasions where we walk up to the line and we get a look and it's, oh, shoot, they got us. And then I'm supposed to randomly make up an audible. There's nothing like that. We usually always have an answer for pressures, all-out blitz, and things like that. So that's on me to get to the right guy.
You know, and when I asked that, the only reason I was watching, I think one of the Baldy breakdowns, and he's showing all these guys up on the line of scrimmage,
right?
And it's an obvious, almost like a goal line defense, and then before they got to the point they got to where it was like literally looked like they were going to shoot through the gaps. They were already well before the snap showing, a strong run defense front, almost like we dare you to audible to a pass because, we're showing run. They were showing run. And the Niners had a run play to Mason called. And then, of course, Mason got handed the ball. He ran into a wall of chief defenders, and that was it. And bad play. And I just was looking at that going, well, there were several indications before the snap that they were reading run play up the middle. And as the quarterback, you're calling a run play up the middle. If there's ever a time to call a timeout or to audible to some kind of pass play. But it's funny because I wasn't questioning that like, Brock doesn't have, control at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I just wanted to hear him say it because I know that there's no way nobody plays football without the ability to change the play. So I knew there's some mechanism.
Jared Goff did not have that ability with the Rams back in the day. Remember how Goff had to snap the ball with about 15 seconds on the play clock because that's when the radio cuts out and they didn't want him at the line of scrimmage making decisions?
Yeah, but I mean, on
Brock
some
certainly
level,
doesn't
there's always something it seems like you should be able to check down to or call a timeout. But it seems, there'd been some rumblings about that. So I just wanted to hear him verbalize what exactly the Niners situation is. And if you really think about it, if what he said, if you take it at face value, there's no reason not to, which is that they have a built-in second option on every play. In a lot of ways, that takes a lot of pressure off of the quarterback and makes it so that he doesn't have to worry about, it's not just that you're going to audible. It's what are you audibling to? And do you have a catalog of plays that you're choosing from in your brain? In this case, it sounds like it's built into the play where if they show this, if they go all out blitz, then the play, audibles into this automatically. It's funny because a lot of people I saw in the comments, and I haven't read them all, but a lot of people were like, Shanahan, they were mad at Shanahan. I look at it as Kyle has built in solutions for Brock on every play. So it's one less thing that the quarterback has to do at the line of scrimmage. And to me, it looks like it would be like a liberating thing and not restrictive in any way, but more limiting as there's taking stuff off of my plate. So I don't have to have a catalog of plays that I would audible to.
Well, that's standard, right? That's standard with canning a play or Oscaring a play where everyone knows what the second one is. Typically it's a check to the opposite kind of play, right? You have a pass play in there. You can, can it. Typically you see the quarterback go like this. You're canning the play and they know what the can of that is and the kind of run that comes off. Now, when you're an outside zone running team, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to run outside zone if you're canning from a passing play and you don't like, you like the light numbers in the box and you want to can to a run play, everyone knows what that play is. That's your go-to. For most offenses, it's actually God's play. It's mostly power. But for the 49ers, it's outside zone. Chris Forster confirmed that 2 weeks ago. So there's that. And then the flip side, you can to certain route combinations on the outside based on what you see. But again, it's built in, and it's not just built in for Brock. It's built in for the entire offense, to my understanding. So where Brock doesn't have to be pointing at guys and they know, hey, it's canned. They know what's built in. Now, I'll say two things on this. One, Steve Spagnuolo knows the cans. He knows what the Oscar plays are. He's done this now a couple times against the 49ers. And Kyle, I would bet dollars to cents that he knows or has a very good idea, perhaps, of what the can plays are given the circumstances. So he's trying to get him into can plays, or they have defenses set up to where they can easily adjust as well. Kansas City, I'll say this, you mentioned their very direct blitzing in that game. That is par for the course with them. They tell you exactly what's coming, and it is 100% on you to just match it, because they believe that they're more physical and faster than you, and they are, certainly the 49ers. And so why disguise? Why try to make things complicated for their dudes? They're just bull rushing you anyway. The second thing is, with the second option, like, I'm not entirely sure that when they're canning plays, they're getting the protection switched to. When I'm watching that film with the Chiefs, and this is something that had been brewing, and it's very difficult to surmise from our standpoint, and I've certainly not gotten any help from anybody inside the 49ers locker room or at the dais. It's difficult to figure out if these are the correct blocking schemes for the plays, and a lot of times it looks like they aren't. A lot of times you have guys standing there looking for work. And I understand that you're not going to get it right 100% of the time. I understand that defenses are very clever, and you run some games up front and stuff. It's going to expose some dudes every now and again. And the flip side is true as well. The Kansas City game, it really felt as if the offensive line, whose protections are set by Jake Brendel, the center, that's his responsibility, talking about taking things off of Brock's plate. Jake Brendel's responsibilities are to set the protections. It doesn't feel like he's audibling to the right protections in those plays as well. And if going back to what I said with, I think Spagnuolo has the can plays, he might not have the can plays, but he certainly knows the protection is either shifting to this or not shifting. Again, it's very difficult for me to tell because I'm not in the huddle, but sure seems like the Chiefs defensive line, just like the Rams defensive line before that, just like Arizona's defensive line. Now, the talent levels of those obviously very different, but I can look at 3 games, maybe 4. Minnesota is such a dynamic defense, it's hard to really figure out if they're keying in on anything or just really good and chaotic. But 3 games for sure where it just seemed like the protections were being set incorrectly on a rather consistent level, and no more consistent than in that game against Kansas City. It was really harrowing tape, and the kind of tape where you can't just pin it on execution. It looks like a coaching issue through and through. And I know Chris Forster is a very good offensive line coach, so something's awry there.